All right, so we are live here for this webinar. Greetings for the day, everyone, and thanks for joining in for this webinar today. I'm this one of the speaker for this webinar, and let me introduce the topic very quickly, and then we can go into the content of what we're going to talk about in today's session. So the topic today, which we are covering, is on the topic of intelligent automation, and we talk about how do we harness the power of intelligent automation to drive business resiliency. So as soon as we get into this, let's talk about few housekeeping exercises. So just for your references, this webinar is going to be recorded and would be available for on-demand viewing as required. So we will give you a copy of that. If you have any difficulties during this webinar, just let us know through a question on your QA panel, and we should be able to address it as soon as possible. We definitely want you to be participative in this webinar. So drop us your question, inquiries, anything on any topic, and our moderator panels will respond to you as soon as possible again. This is a CP credit-based webinar, so do get in touch with us or your local associations to earn those CP pointers. So that's pretty much the housekeeping. Let's get started. For this webinar, we have two speakers. Along with myself, I have Prashant, who is from Edgeworth, a leading robotics and intelligent software making company. And I'm going to be the speaker for the start and would come in at the end. Little bit of background from my side. I'm Rupesh. I'm one of the director in Protivity, and I lead the digital and technology practice out here. I've got extensive experience in technology consulting and helped multiple clients in process improvement engagements. Lately, I've been working with our customers to drive their automation, to drive their leading practices using technology. So I'm happy to be one of the speakers here. Thank you so much. Prashant, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Rupesh. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So like Rupesh said, I am with Edgeworth. I look after all our relationships with all our partners, and Protivity and Edgeworth are very close partners. Talking about myself, I've been with Edgeworth and Infosys for many years, worked across automation, AI, product management, solution consulting, BPO operations, software delivery, and so on. And before that, multiple things, financial consulting, investment banking. I will try to bring to bear all of this knowledge and experience in today's webinar as we talk about intelligent automation and how it will help your enterprise become more resilient. And hopefully that will be useful and thought-provoking. Thanks.
Thank you, Prashant. So let's get started. So I'll delve into a bit of overview of the topic, which is intelligent process automation. We'll use the word intelligent automation alongside the same. So IPA, which is nothing but a combination or amalgamation of robotics process software, which you all must be aware of, with other allied technologies, and how these two technologies come together to solve some of the end-to-end business need or requirements, and helps your journey in the digital transformation. So we're going to talk about IPA, which is RPA plus allied technologies. When I say allied technologies, it is another set of technologies which is being widely used in automation, and we will be touching base on what are those technologies in detail. But at the same time, it is something which is capable of performing large human tasks and also have a lot of human intelligence built into it. So that's a topic of introduction for us, IPA, which is robotics plus allied technologies. Going into deeper of how this intelligent automation or intelligent process automation has arrived. And as you see on the graph on your screen, from a maturity perspective, we all know about robotics, which was more or less called as also rule-based process automation, where you had certain processes, certain steps, certain rules, certain operations to be performed, and those were actually automated using robotic software. Those are also called as low-code software automation, where things are very simple, drag and drop, where things are also deterministic in nature, and you can get a value of those automation like very fast. So it's an immediate savings, immediate ROI kind of automation, which is RPA. And the next bucket is intelligent automation, which is where we're going to talk about today. That this type of automation is little bit more advanced in terms of maturity of the automation. Here, it takes care of a lot of challenges which we have seen in the rule-based or RPA automation, where some data unstructured issues have called in, where the human intelligence have blocked the automation processes. So intelligent automation will solve some of those challenges, and it's primarily driven out of data, and it is also data is a big lever which is being driving intelligent automation, and most of the software or like technologies we're going to talk about will be data driven in nature. So this intelligent automation has been giving a lot of business possibilities in terms of revenue shift, in terms of customer experience. It has also started changing the shape of the organization and the business model, and so on as we go forward in the operations, which is of course the autonomous play. As you all know about autonomous cars, it's a pure automation, end-to-end automation, which is something going to go ahead of the journey. We're not going to talk about autonomous operations today, but again, that's a shift we're going to look at in future, and it's going to really reinvent the business and also the business model in which we're operating already. So that's pretty much a brief of the maturity of automation and various automation available in the marketplace right now. This slide depicts intelligent automation and the various technologies which I was talking about as allied technologies. So as you can see right at the top, there is robotics process automation, which we all know is a rule-based automation. And we have all seen a lot of examples and use cases around robotics, which is like invoice processing, claims processing, and how it has helped to, take away the mundane processes and have automated those manual actions and tasks, have helped us to, move away from multiple documents and spreadsheets into a richer automation experience. Today's discussion is more about how we take RPA with other technologies, like from point 2 to point 8, which is what do you mean by using robotics with workflow, what it can do. So like we have listed a few examples here. In some cases, RPA alone cannot solve all the problem, and you get a bit of breakpoint in your use case or your business processes where you start thinking about, do I really need an automation, and can automation solve all the problems? This is where the allied technologies like workflow, which actually bring more people into your journey and let you do your job seamlessly. So one very good example, as you must be aware of in your processing, is workflow. So when you complete an activity, it's not that you have to do the next activity. Somebody else in your organization or somebody else in the customer space would have to perform the next task. So this is where RPA and workflow come together and solve the problem. And so going into the circle of other allied technologies, we have also seen a rapid integration of robotics process automation with data analytics. This is one place where we have seen multiple use cases where robotics have been helpful for customers to extract data from various data sources. But at the same time, it wasn't helpful to do a data analytics on top of it and show those the extracted data and analyze that. So RPA with the data analytics has been very provoking. It has taken a big shift in the business and has been giving a lot of great outcomes in that space. Going on the journey, RPA with optical character recognition or computer vision. This is very groundbreaking. It has been put into use quite rapidly as a lot of use cases. As you know, there are various tools available in the marketplace right now which can actually read your documents, which can extract those important pieces of information from those documents and can actually put those data points back into the process and allow you to process those applications or your journey, customer journey as required. So optical character recognition has been very widely used along with robotics, and it has given a lot of use cases to the marketplace in terms of, like, if you look at banking, mortgage application extraction is the key. If you look at claims, sending the claims documents and reading those documents and extracting key information has been very prudent. The next in the list is natural language processing. Here onwards, we're going to talk about some really advanced technologies which rely heavily on data, and not only data, but data which is not structured, which is also, which can come in any shape and form, which does not follow a certain pattern. And this is where most of the robotics process automation has been handcuffed in terms of how do we do it? What are we stuck? Can we move ahead in this journey? So all those questions will be answered through these AI technologies. And the first AI technologies which we're going to talk about is about natural language processing. This is about how does a computer read text? How does a computer listen to a speech, and how it can recognize those words, and at the same time can make a sense out of those words and put that back into the use. This has been very widely used in the automation space, and this is also called as advanced automation. We will be talking about a couple of use cases today on natural language processing and automation and RPA today with Prashant and the team. But at the same time, we're going to talk about giving a little bit of introduction to natural language processing. It's kind of a contract or a letter or a document which anybody can write in any shape and form, and you expect a machine to extract important information, make those cognitive analysis, and put that back into your processes. And going forward, process mining, this is a completely new technology which has been there from last three to 4 years. Very important technology which is being used by multi clients in terms of how do they extract the data from the process, but also mine the process in terms of how it is being performed, whether it is being performed in a set pattern or there is any variation in those processes. So it's essentially giving you a bit of blueprint on how your processes has been performed and how many variations it has taken. And on top of it, it gives you a strong analytics and learnings around some of the KPIs, business KPIs, as you go forward. And then machine learning, which is quite a broad term, but at the same time, there are so many tools in the marketplace. Edgeworth has one of the tools which does machine learning so well. It's essentially a model or a model reader where you inject certain data points into your tool or a software. It tries to detect various patterns in the documents or in the processes and apply cognitive thinking on top of it, and can give you outcome alongside. Last but not the least, which is chatbots. I'm sure we all have been exposed to chatbots in the recent past, and some of us have also been frustrated talking to chatbots, and that is an example where a chatbot has not been done or implemented very well. This is where robotics and chatbots come into the play. We have seen and executed a lot of programs in this space where a client is looking to implement a chatbot across internal facing as well as external facing customers. Talking about HR chatbots, which is very popular, which can do a quick search on your knowledge management and give you all your policy information, which can also give you information related to your HR related questions. There is, of course, a lot of use of chatbots in banking, in telco, and also there are chatbots with RPA being used as a medical assistance as well. So this is a big overview about what RPA and other allied technologies form a consortium or amalgamation of to call as intelligent process automation or intelligent automation. I will keep moving. We'll be delving into these topics quite in detail as we go ahead, but I'll keep moving in the interest of time. We have we have a small poll in front of you. So if you don't mind, this will help us to evaluate your business function you operate in. So if you can take another 10-15 seconds to click an option in terms of which function do you work with, right, from finance, HR, RNC, audit, or any other, so that we can give you an examples very relative to your departments. So I'll take a 10-second pause here for you to do this poll. All right, let's keep moving. All right, so we have got the poll results. The one thing which I learned out of this result is I don't have to give an HR example because we don't have anybody sitting in HR zone, so which is good to know. We have quite a bit of people sitting in internal audit and finance, so definitely we'll focus on our examples in those spaces. We also have people in risk and compliance and other generic category as well. So thanks for this poll. This is very important. It will help us to guide forward. Getting into the thick of intelligent automation, and this is where I would love to talk about what are the current trends from 2020, 2021, and how enterprise are increasing their investments in the intelligent automation. And we have just listed few of them in front of you, and this is where I'm sure your organization must be thinking as well. So as you know, with COVID and pandemic, there is definitely a higher adoption or heightened adoption of automation. Everybody has their life have changed. They are no more working from the offices. They have started working remotely. There is definitely a lost in touch from a customer perspective, and that's why there's a heightened adoption of automation. Organizations have started investing quite a bit in the last 1 year on automation, and they're going to invest more. So that's one of the trend which we are seeing in the marketplace. Alongside that trend, we also have seen automation fragmentation. When I say automation fragmentation, this is all about the number of products, the number of automation technologies, the number of automation solutioning companies available in the marketplace right now. There's become a big fragmentation in terms of what do we do, which tools we select, which vendor we go with, and which will fit best to our requirements and our organization. So that's one of the trends which is coming in play, where organizations have started. It is always good to have choices, but too many choices at times, makes you think about your strategy. So that's pretty much the trend which is on the fragmentation side. The third one is about intelligent process automation has started becoming a mainstream business. So gone are the days where people wanted to innovate with RPA. They used to tell that we want to try a bot to do a work. Now, those days are gone, long gone. People have started using technologies like AI, workflow, machine learning, which we talked about, to drive their business. They've started using those technologies just not to solve your day-to-day problems, but also to make a shift in your growth, make a shift in your margin, also make a shift in your customer experience. And this has been a very, very mainstream in terms of your businesses. I've seen so many use cases we have been doing for our clients where, even the teams like internal audit, they have moved away from doing a sample testing. They want to do a full sample. They want to do end-to-end testing, end-to-end assessments of everything. And this is where IPA comes in play. So very, 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 very much forward-looking topic to talk about. The next one is about new robotics application influenced by AI. We touched on this a little bit in the past. This is more about how human intelligence can be brought in the bot's journey, and when the bot is processing the operations, how this machine learning models can drive some of those intelligence which humans have, how it can detect anomalies, how it can alert the humans at the right time. And there has been a lot of applications on this zone, and few of them in the finance space, which we're going to discuss in a while. But there has been a lot of use cases in terms of robotics applications using AI. The final two about growth of cloud automation. As you know, we are moving towards the cloud era, and the mainstream robotic softwares which existed in 2-3 years back, which was kind of on-premise, sitting on computers, required installation, has gone. It is more of an age where we are looking at a plug-and-play kind of a software, where the automation is sitting in the cloud. It is giving you a rapid change of how you use this technology and how it can solve your challenges and the problems at hand. So definitely most of the cloud softwares and automation softwares have started taking a shift on making it cloud ready, making it cloud native as you go through the journey. Finally, the most important part, which is the governance and ethics around automation. As we all know about, automation can do a lot of things and have been doing a lot of things. It's the right time to think about what are those governance principles, what are those ethics. We did had a webinar some time back in terms of automation, where the topic was about who is watching the bot. If bot is doing something, who is watching them? How do we ensure that automation is doing the right thing? It is not bringing any disparity in the play. It is giving the same or a better feel to our customers without being biased to anything. So that's one of the big topics of discussion. And as we go in the journey of automation, I think these things will get better and better, and we'll see a great outcomes and governance around it as well. So these are the current trends between 2020 and 2021 from an intelligent automation perspective. Just a reminder, if you have any questions so far, just keep posting us on the Q&A chat so that we can look at that and answer those queries as we go. I'll keep moving. Now, from the intelligent automation use cases, we have listed some of those use cases on the screen, and of course there are many more. And these are some of them which we have been heavily involved with our customers. And if you look at the tiles, we have 4 tiles on which we have grouped them. The use cases on banking and financial services, banking, financial, insurance, retail, and healthcare. Of course, we have multiple other use cases in other industries like telco, pharmaceuticals, and so on. Do let us know if you belong to those categories. We'll be happy to share some use cases documents with yourself. But going on, from an intelligent automation perspective, if you look at banking and financial services, as you know, there has been a lot of focus on KYC, which is know your customer, identification and validations. There used to be a time where when you used to onboard or take up a service with the banks, you have to submit your identity documentations once. But now is the era where we are moving into a digital footprint. KYC has become more prudent. It has become more important, and it has to be done on a regular basis, which means the banking team or the bank operations team has to perform the same activities again and again on a repeated basis. This is where the automation has come into play, where using OCR technology, using RPA technology, banks have taken advantage of this automation, where the identification documents are read automatically. That documentation has been, the data from the documentation has been extracted and checked against the relevant parties. For example, in Australia, the driver's license, we can pick the driver's license number, check with the relevant government authorities to see whether the identity is right or is not fraudulent, and we can provide much more assurance to the services we provide to the customers. So those kind of technologies have been very prudent. There has been a lot of use of AI in banking and financial services, as they have started taking care of intelligent automation more and more. So especially in the trade processing automation, as you know, in the trade, there's been exchanging of a lot of contracts, a lot of documentations, a lot of invoices. And to view those documents, to read those documents and analyze and extract those information from them to perform one of your duties is extensive mundane task. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of, human to do those activities. And at the same time, you can get into the issues of, inaccuracy and poor customer experience. So RPA with AI has been very prudent in that space and have been very well established and used to do some of those automation. We're going to talk about financial document analysis in one of our case studies with Prashant today. So I will leave that here. But then going back in terms of insurance, customer claims, very simple and very important exercise where claims data being extracted, claims information being rolled into and brought into data analytics to understand what the claims demographics looks like, what is the burning problem, how do we foresee issues in terms of somebody putting a false claim into the play. So those kind of claim analysis is really good. There has been a lot of push, as you know, in Australia and globally on regulatory reporting. That has been a very painstaking task for our risk and compliance team. So most of our regulatory reporting means extracting data from multiple places, putting them into a particular format, and then pushing that out to our regulators. So all those activities have a great chance of automation, and we have done that many times. And it is very important for, if you have not tried that, you should think about regulatory reporting as automation use cases. In retail, supply chain, making effective use of your merchandise, promotions, very widely used to understand in a real-time basis how your promotion is going, what is the adoption of your promotion, which channel is adopting more promotions, how can we penetrate those promotions into your merchandise preferences, ensure our goods and supply chains have those necessary support at the background. So all this being very highly or widely used from an IA perspective. Healthcare, this is my favorite place. I've been doing a lot of healthcare-based automation, right from insurance, right from patient referrals. We have been extensively using OCR, AI technologies with our healthcare clients in terms of automating some of their processes, right from inpatient billing to insurance from claims to Medicare claims to the referral, and this is one industry which has taken a lot of hit in the last year from a resourcing perspective, and because of it we have seen a very high uptake of automation use cases as well, and a very important segment for us to look after as well. So that's pretty much sums up our use cases segment from an automation perspective. I'll hand over the dial to Prashant, who is going to talk a bit about Edgeworth and also talk about some of the use cases we have solved for the customers. So Prashant, over to you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Rupesh. So before I jump into the case studies, right, that described some of this kind of work that Rupesh was talking about, I thought let me take a moment to explain about our Assist Edge RPA and intelligence automation platform, right? And obviously I don't want to take too much time on this, but spend more time on the case studies. So as Rupesh was saying, right, that today it's no longer just about RPA, it's no longer just about having a set of predetermined tasks to be followed, which a bot will do. And we have if I may say so myself, we have understood this a while back, and we've been on this journey for the last few years. What we've done is we've consciously taken Assist Edge down this path where instead of just being an RPA and very script-based or rule-based automation platform, we've tried to take it end-to-end, starting right from answering the question of what are the processes that are candidates for any kind of automation, right? And that is where the part of the platform called Assist Edge Discover comes in. A little while back, Rupesh mentioned about process mining. And this kind of takes process mining one level deeper into what we call task mining or process discovery, which is about understanding at the user's desktop what is actually happening, right? So something that helps you understand, are the users only working on one system? Are they working across multiple systems? Are they looking at Excel files, other browser-based systems? What is actually happening each time a user is working on a task, right? And then how do you take that, understand all the variants, understand what is the best way to perform the process, etc., and convert that into directly into your automation bot, right? And that is where assisted RPS starts coming in, which we have in both unattended and attended flavors. So unattended obviously is where the bot is running in the background on the server side, multiple things are happening. In the attended side, this is where it gets also a little interesting, that there are often there are several use cases, some of which Rupesh spoke of as well, where you have somebody who's working on multiple systems at the same time, and how can you help those people improve their productivity? And that is where Assist Edge Engage comes in. So bringing all of the information from all of the different systems onto one common screen, and then also using the automation to push back any action that needs to be taken into all of those different systems. So as you can imagine, instead of a user having to log into multiple different systems to get information, and then again log into multiple different systems to update information, all of this is done via that. And then comes in the intelligent and cognitive automation. And here is where what we've done to our assistance platform is we've also leveraged our Infosys NIA, the AI and machine learning platform, to move beyond the RPA and keystroke and that kind of automation, and move into the ability to leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning for the entire system to take decisions and then proceed with automation on that basis, right? And those are some of the case studies that I will talk of. And then, of course, the ability to bring all of this together in orchestrate the whole process. So whether it is the RPA, which is performing a set of specific tasks, whether it is AI, which is looking at the data, deciding what is the next course of action across the various possible options, and then guiding the RPA to do this, do that, taking decisions and so on. Or whether at some point of time, the automation platform finally decides that this is something that is best to bring the human in the loop. And then you're able to bring in the person, gives the input, takes a decision as may be required, and then the automation again seamlessly proceeds from there. So orchestrating the human and digital together, right? What we've done is we've brought all of these capabilities together in one end-to-end platform. And obviously, some of those the capabilities that Rupesh spoke of earlier, and which I just mentioned also, those are the kind of things that are mentioned here. Now, I don't want to go into too much in depth onto each of these items, but just a few of them that I want to point out. So, the computer vision and advanced OCR, right? Now, there are two parts to this. One is obviously, leveraging AI to, extract information from any digitized document or any such data source and take decision on that basis. But also, this is an important part of the core automation itself, because often systems that are in use are not amenable to allowing RPA to take control of the screen, identifying control IDs, where to go and what to input and so on. And that is where this advanced OCR also becomes important, because it guides the RPA on the basis of what is being seen on the screen. And that's the next step in increasing the capability and applicability of RPA. There is a human digital twin that I spoke of. How do we bring, the ALBI, the contextual intelligence and the decision workbench, which brings Assist Edge and NIA together, and any other OCR tool that we may want to use as well. Bringing it all up together and helping orchestrate that. Dashboards, and what we've done here is the ability to get business-friendly dashboards. It's not just about the health of the bot and the infrastructure and so on, but from the business point of view, understanding process metrics, understanding what is working, what is not working, and so on. And of course, I think the fact that a one-stop shop for all cognitive services, right? whether it is, like I said, whether it is RPA, whether it is AI and ML, whether it is bringing in experts to help you get the best of the capabilities of these platforms. Whether it is through our services, whether it is working with our partners like Protivity, making sure that it's not just about creating a product and handing it over to the customer and say, this is yours, please run with it. But how do we, along with our partners, work with the clients, with your organizations throughout the life cycle and helping you realize value and be there with you right up to the, to that stage is what we are able to do. And needless to say, enterprise grade security, because as you'll see in just a moment, our platform is completely focused towards large global scale clients and their needs, multiple geographies, multiple regulations, large populations, large volumes, and so on. That's so, for example, just to emphasize that point, 10,000 plus different types of processes automated globally. More than 50 million transactions, 350 plus customers, which are all out of the global 2000, top global 2000 clients. Which is the point I was making about enterprise grade. And if you look at it, more than 140 countries, right, where we have presence with these platforms, and 40 plus patents in both automation and AI, and 125,000 bots live across our customers, right? And if you look at a little more, if I can just add a little more flavor to this, there are clients where I spoke a little while back about attended automation. There is a client we have where we have 49,000 users running on attended automation, right? There is a client where we have a bot running a complex process of about 900 steps with different mechanisms, different rules, different potential paths that the process can take, and so on. So just to give you an idea of whether it is scale, whether it is volume, whether it is throughput, whether it is complexity, whether it is geographical spread, our platform is able to cover and deliver on all of that. And just to take two examples about some of these things, right? And specifically about how we brought together automation and AI and humans all together to deliver results. There are two examples that I want to take today. The first one is a global aerospace supplier. They are in the field of fasteners and consumables that they provide to a lot of the commercial business jet, military aviation, these markets, and all of the airlines, all of these different aerospace manufacturers are their customers. As you can imagine, their sales order process, creation process, was extremely complex. Right, there are multiple different flows on the basis of the geography from which they are receiving, on the basis of their parts range, and so on the basis of what type of document is coming. Now, often, sometimes information came in email, sometimes there were complex documents from which they had to extract information before they could create the sales orders. Sometimes there were decisions to be made on what actually needs to be done, on the basis of some other background information related to inventories and, production schedules and delivery schedules and so on. And so it was a complex process involving a lot of different logic and different flows. And if it was being, as long as it was being done manually, it was a little error prone because of the fact that, we humans have the capability to only process so much information at a time, right? And this is where what we did is we brought in a well-orchestrated interplay of assisted RPA, Infosys NIA, and human in the loop, right? So we, across all the variations, 6 applications, 25 odd customers, we brought all of this together because this was the bulk of their work. We used the AI we used first the RPA to obtain the digitized documents. We used NIA's engine to extract and analyze this information. Like I was saying that it was not just about picking up key value pairs, but taking a decision on the basis of what that information says. The verification and validation. So, for example, is all the information available the way it should be to be able to create a sales order? Is the information valid? Is it referencing the right part numbers? Is this part number applicable on the basis of the past history of what all we have sold to this customer? For the kind of aircrafts that they are talking about, are these parts suitable for that, so that there's no error, right? Because as you can imagine, in aviation, the margin of error is really extremely low because you don't want accidents to happen while the aircraft is in the air, right? So verification and validation of the information that is coming in, and then taking decisions on that basis, right? Is that what is the pathway? Which systems do you need to go to? Which plant will this be delivered from? What is the delivery schedule that you're looking at? What other assemblies and sub-assemblies you need to match with this, and so on? Or do you just need to send it back to the person saying, these are the things you need to correct, or you need to ask the customer, etc. So all of this was done on the basis of this intelligent AI-based platform. And then where required, like I said, the human intervention came in, right? So it didn't just throw it out to a queue and then, dump an Excel file and then people have to act on it, but more like a workflow system where, people could act on it, look at it, correct it, and then the automation would pick it up and seamlessly proceed once again, right? And what it did is, a 50% reduction in the processing time per order and 90+% accuracy, right? And all of this while saving more than 18,000 person hours a year. And you can imagine that, globally, when you're saving 18,000 person hours, that's a lot of money that is being saved just for the sales order creation process. If you're achieving faster throughput, you're able to make sure that you're helping your customers meet their time to market needs, right? And deliver faster to their clients in turn. So this was the most important aspect of that. The second case study that I want to talk about was in the financial services space, and Rupesh made reference to that earlier. Now, as we know, we saw earlier that a lot of people are in the finance and internal audit space in the attendees today. We know that LIBOR is, for various reasons, LIBOR is approaching its end of life. It has been pushed back by a year now, but it's still something that it's a known that there is a deadline it's approaching. And while LIBOR has so far been used globally as a reference rate, which is the most widely used reference rate for various types of contracts which involve interest rates, now people have to, based on different conditions, have to replace this with different reference rates. And the volume of contracts and the complexity of the business made it a hugely daunting task to do this mechanically, right? Or manually, rather, I should say. And that is where, once again, we brought in this capability. So what we did is we worked with partners and our legal process outsourcing teams, bringing experts to train the AI engine first, because what was most important is to understand the contract, identify which are the clauses which are referencing LIBOR, and based on that, take a decision on, after understanding the context of the agreement, you may have to choose different reference rate, right? So when I say context of the agreement, it's about the parties involved, the countries in question, the cross-border regulations that exist between those countries, the currencies of denomination of the contract. There are quite a few factors based on which the different reference rates have to be taken, and accordingly, the clauses related to that reference rate has to be updated. So first thing was to train the AI engine to be able to recognize and identify which are the clauses to be replaced and what are the replacement clauses. And then the automation engine took over from there after the NIA had done its work. Excuse me. The automation engine took over to then create the workflow for replacing this, right? Picking up the contract that was digitized and replacing it with new contract and sending it to the human to finalize it and move forward, right? Now, one thing obviously is the strategic importance of doing this and meeting the regulatory timeline. So quantifying the risk at the product and portfolio level and being able to correct it. But more importantly, the speed at which this was, this could be achieved. So 12,500 contracts per hour is the volume at which this could be done. And you can imagine, this is like orders of magnitude faster than what it can be achieved, through trying to do this manually. And most importantly, there is now a digital audit trail that every time the system has picked up the contract, it is keeping a track of what has it done, what has it identified, and what is the basis on which it decided what is the replacement contract and what has it done, right? There's nothing left to the memory of an individual and, being out of the audit zone or relying on making sure that the person has captured correctly what had they done, why had they done it, and so on, right? Now, these are the two main case studies that I wanted to talk about because, these very well bring all of these things together, whether it is automation or intelligent automation, artificial intelligence, and bringing human in the loop, right? Now, before I hand it back to Rupesh for talking a little more about the challenges, etc., and how we see this moving in the future, I just thought of taking a small poll that as you have progressed through this journey in your organizations, what is the kind of challenges that you have seen? So if you can just take, a little bit of time, maybe 30 seconds, and just, you can choose more than one option here, obviously. We don't necessarily need to choose the top one, but all of those that apply to you, right? The idea is to get a challenge, get an view of what it is that you're facing, and maybe in the next section Rupesh will touch upon that a little bit and address those. So we're just about reaching the end of the time, 5 more seconds. So yeah, no surprise there. Executive sponsorship, well, no surprise and a surprise, because that is the biggest factor, and you are right. That is what is the most important factor that needs to fall into place. The will to not do lip service, but actually drive it from the top. And I think in the last 12-14 months, we've seen that a lot of that has just been forced. But yes, there is still a lot more probably that needs to be done. And inability to automate end-to-end processes, right? And that is probably where this kind of context that we spoke of, that how do you bring in not just RPA, but also bring in AI and convert it into an intelligent automation, which also brings in humans as and when required. How do you move to that? So that's very interesting. So Rupesh, with that, over to you.
Thanks, Prashant. This has been very useful, and thanks for sharing those case studies with us. So a little bit more on the challenges which we have described in our next section, which is the last section of today. So as you called out, there are a lot of challenges which we have seen with our customers where they were not appropriately able to use IA or intelligent automation in their journey. So as you see on the left, we do have some failure points like shortage of skilled resources, failing to understand the complexity, failure to understand the estimation of data. Sometimes also the post-implementation adoption has been some challenges. And a couple of them which you called out in the poll, which is, how do we get started? What is the basic way of getting it started? So the simplest solution from our side, and the way we have been advising to our customers in such challenges and such situations, as you see on the right side, we have given some of the resolutions, and these are the type of resolution we bring in to our customers right at the outset. Do you have an automation strategy defined? Do you know what you want to achieve with automation? Does it align to your ROI? Does it align to your business case? How do you go back to your executives in terms of what you're bringing back in terms of FTE savings, cost efficiency, or a growth? I think those pointers are very, very crucial, and those are very important to have executive investing into you. So that's more about a strategy, which is very key. The next about is process and which process to automate kind of things. So not all processes can be automated. Again, you have to be very, very sure about optimizing the processes before you automate them, and also use different business rules and document those business rules in your play so that you are very well aware of whether it can be automated or cannot be automated. So process analysis and optimization is very key for your RPA roadmap. The next, which we always recommend to our customers if they have not tried automation ever or in their organization, is to do a very small rapid prototyping, which is also called as POC. Do a small POC, test the water, test the applications, test the people around you, and see whether this thing is going to work for you or not. And then once you are done with that, you can adopt much more larger runway to implement automation in your organization. Finally, when you want to really scale out automation, which is we have a very simple cursory statement to that. If you want to have more than 10 bots in your organization, you should definitely think about building a center of excellence. And building a center of excellence means a very, very small or a big team in your own organization or your own departments who can do those process improvements exercise in your organization and perform those automation initiatives alongside with it. So that's about COE build out. And finally, once you have all the automations in play, it's very important to ensure that it has been monitored well, and you always ensure that the minor issues are resolved so that you don't upset your people and customers because of the bots. And at the same time, you also have to measure and celebrate those successes when you have done those things. So measuring KPIs, measuring the outposts are very important in terms of success factors. So we have grouped them into 5 buckets at the bottom as well for your understanding. But these are typical challenges and success factors which we need to be mindful about, and is very prudent for us to move forward in the IPA journey. So that brings us to the kind of a tail end of our webinar today. I would love to end this with some of the resources which we will be giving you access to. So these are some of the resources which we use quite rapidly with our customers, which is the ROI calculators. It gives you a heads around how do you calculate your ROI, whether it's people, quality, cost, or growth, and how you can leverage those. It also talks about the process evaluator. This is a very helpful tool which can give you a kind of a sense check whether this process can be automated or cannot be automated. Productivity Bot Bank, this is just an accelerator which we bring to the table, which has a lot of small bots which can help you get started. Solution Design Template, this is very useful document and a useful template to have in front of you when you decide to go ahead in your RPA journey. This can give you a bit of viewpoint on what are the design KPIs you need to think about, what are the design considerations you need to act upon. So very, very important ones. Productivity COE design. This is, again, give you a bit of model around whether you want to go with centralized, decentralized, departmental, what kind of COE design you should adopt, and what can give you the acceleration in your RPA journey. And finally, the RACI matrix, which kind of gives you a roles accountability, responsibility kind of a matrix to help you operate and maintain your bot journey and existing bot in the play. Along with these resources, we do have some set of latest blogs, client story, documentations, which we would be happy to share with you guys for your read through, just so that you can understand more about intelligent automation and robotics process automation. And if there is any inquiries, we are always there to help you. So that brings to the end of our webinar. We have final 5 minutes left in front of us. I would definitely love to have love to take some questions which has been posted in the Q&A section. So I can see one of them, which is very interesting. In your experience, what do you think is the most important lesson your customers have learned in their intelligent automation journey? Prashant, if you don't mind, can I take this one?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I think one of the big things which I've seen from a customer in their intelligent automation journey is recognizing the importance of process and data. I think this is very, very critical. We have seen customers who have not really understood the process and its efficiencies have got a poor outcome on their automation projects. At the same time, you also have to critically look at whether your data is structured, unstructured, semi-structured, and based on that, you have to use the right tools, whether it's a simple RPA or advanced RPA, which is intelligent automation, which can solve your problem. So those are some of the important lessons which we have seen. But at the same time, one last thing which I want to comment on that is do celebrate your success. As you see some KPIs being met, you have achieved some ROI. Do yell about it. Make a hustle about those successes, and get yourself ready for the next success in front of you. That's pretty much the lessons learned. The next one is an important question on the COE side. Which department should take ownership of RPA implementation? Prashant, do you want to take that up?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, one of the things that Rupesh pointed out earlier was about going through this whole process and arriving at the stage of setting up a COE and building it out, right? But in our experience, what we have seen is what is important to realize is that while there is a COE, it is not a single body, which is a separate and isolated department in the organization, which is going to do this, right? It's extremely important. I think, all of you yourself pointed out executive sponsorship as one of the most important things. So executive sponsorship and the importance of driving this from the top and across the organization. So getting the right stakeholders, whether it is business, whether it's IT, sometimes, you can even be bold and bring in your stakeholders, your employees, partners, consumers, suppliers, whomever you're working with, who is the impacted party, right? Making sure that your COE or whichever is the organization that you've set up to drive this has the right set of stakeholders, because the success of this program will depend on making sure that you deliver something of benefit to these stakeholders, right? So everybody of this nature needs to be involved, and it's not, we would say, a single organization or a single team which is responsible. So while that team may be the COE, but representation has to be from all across, and that is an extremely important thing, because without that, it is extremely difficult to get organizational buy-in for a lot of the changes that are going to come along the way, right? Change management challenges that will come up will need very wide organizational buy-in.
Thanks, Prashant. And I think we'll get to the tail end of this. I would take the last question up before I wind up, which is the biggest ROI contributors when it comes to intelligent automation. And I would say the biggest ROI is definitely not the cost, but it's the employee and customer experience. It's the biggest ROI contributors. The quality and efficiency drives in terms of winning more work or growing your operations more efficiently is the contributors. So definitely cost comes alongside. It helps you to put value into your business cases, but at the same time, your experience you get, the mundane process which you remove from your employees' experience perspective is a huge win. With that in mind, we have actually got to the tail end or right at the minute of our webinar. There are many more questions which unfortunately I'm not able to answer today, but I've made a note of it and I will definitely come back to you with those answers separately. But with that, I would love to take a give off from you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we appreciate your attendance today. I hope you have learned something more about intelligent automation. And these are our contact details. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.